Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. In my last video, I did an unboxing for easycraftart.com. They had asked me if I was interested, and so they so kindly allowed me to pick a few things that I was interested in. So in this video, I'm going to try out some of the wax melts. I've never ever done this before, so this is brand new to me. And I loved the fact that there was a choice of different wax seal kits. I keep calling them wax melts, but they're wax seals. So this is the one that I chose. I just like the color, the different color variation of the wax melts that were in that kit. I also really loved the handle of this one as well. Now the kit comes with a tea light to melt the little wax pieces in order to use them as a seal. Now it's probably going to be a little bit more convenient to have one of those ones where your hands are free and you can just put it on there, but I appreciated the fact that everything that you needed to try your hand at this craft came in one kit. I did get some extra wax melts, and I did get a couple extra wax seal heads. They just screw right onto the handle, which makes them really, really easy. It did take a couple minutes for the initial wax pieces to melt. And I am also working on a Teflon mat. It's meant for putting in a baking sheet, so it's meant for going in the oven, but I knew it was going to be able to handle the heat of the wax as well as when I put the little spoon tool, I don't know what it's actually called, in. So I'm going to try all of the heads. I'm going to try a few different colors of wax here. I do cut out some of the times where I'm waiting for the wax to melt, just because it's not very exciting to watch. So you can see some of the positive outcomes and some of the fails. It's because I haven't done this before, I'm not sure how much wax to melt. So I started out with 4 in the thing, and then once I had a little bit of wax in there, I was adding 3 to it. The wax, once I poured it out onto the surface and put the seal head on there, they cooled down very, very quickly, which was really quite nice. You didn't have to wait too long for that. I'm trying the metallic pen that comes in the kit on this particular seal here. Some of them I found were a little bit easier to color, and some of them I found were a little bit more difficult to color. This particular one, the script for the words was really quite fine and delicate. So it was a little bit harder to only get the raised part of it and not accidentally get the lowered part of it. So this one, when I did the unboxing, I wasn't sure what it said. It actually said "for you." I'll put a link to easycraftart.com's website down in the description box below. There are so many more different kits to choose from, as well as lots and lots of different tips to put on the handles for creating wax seals. I loved all the different selection. So there's basically something there for everyone. So now I'm trying the other metallic pens that I chose to go with this to highlight some of the areas. I didn't realize that the kit actually had one in it, so I wanted to try coloring the wax. It was really, really easy to color. Like I said, some of the script on the ones in the kit was really quite fine, so I had to be quite careful to make sure to only get the top of it, and sometimes I failed. Sorry for getting the top of my head in there. So it is going to take a little bit of practice, I think, for me to realize how much wax to actually put into the scoop to melt, and like what's too much and what's not enough, as well as practicing coloring. But I do like the fact that you can color these to highlight some areas to make them pop a little bit more. They did have a set of colored pens as well, but I just chose the metallics because I thought it was nice and simple. You can tell how hot this thing gets at times because you can see the steam and smoke coming off of it. The smoke is actually from some wax. When I pour, it dripped down to the bottom, and then when I went and put it over top of the flame again, it started to burn a little bit. It didn't smell it. I can just see that it was there. The one thing you do want to make sure to be very, very careful of, though, is the metal from the scoop part comes a little bit up the handle, and it does get quite hot. So make sure when you are holding this, you're only holding the wooden part of the handle so that you don't accidentally burn your hand. The other thing is I'm being very careful to make sure that my hand doesn't actually go near the flame of the tea light. I know sometimes it looks like it's really close, but I don't even feel the heat on my hand. So definitely make sure that you're working in an area and you're paying attention to where that tea light is and not accidentally burning yourself. Something easy to do if you're concentrating on one thing and not paying attention to the second thing. The other thing I love is all the different choices for the wax colors. This one was my absolutely favorite. I loved the little whale on there. I think I'm going to try it again. I didn't do it in this video, but I think I'm going to try it again with some of those green wax pieces and then color the whale with silver. I think that would be really, really pretty. Some of the green and white swirled together and then coloring the whale with silver. It was one of those things that I thought about after the fact. I'm not sure what I would do with these wax seals. I love making cards, but I'm really, really bad at sending them. So I'm trying to think of a way to use them and incorporate them as pieces on top of cards. Not sure if that will work or not, but it's definitely really fun to make them, and it can get a little bit addicting. The one thing that I think I would get in addition to this is something that I could melt the wax while keeping my hands free to do other things. So one of those electric wax melters or something. And I do believe that they have that on their website. So that is an option. And I do think it is a good one to have. Like I said, I appreciated the fact that all of the things you absolutely needed to try this is in one kit. So you could try a kit and see for yourself if it's for you. Not everything is everyone's cup of tea, so it's nice to be able to get a little bit of everything in one place just to try out a craft and just see if you enjoy doing it. So I think this one here is the cherub, and it had so much detail to it that it was actually a little bit lost with the seal, and not because it didn't work properly, it's because I chose a lot of white, so you didn't actually see a lot of the detail. So I am using a gold here to highlight it to try to see some of that detail, but I'm going to try something at the very end in order to be able to see it a little bit better. The gold worked to a point, but this one had so much more dimension to it than some of the other ones. So in order to capture some of that dimension, I decided to try the same seal, but do it in a little bit of a different way. So I've got first some white wax melts in my thing, and I did clean it out with a toothpick, a Q-tip ahead of time to make sure that I wasn't getting any other colors there. So I've got white in there, and I'm just pouring it where the cherub wings are going to be. And then I'm going to let that harden, and it does harden quite quickly because the ends are metal, so they stay quite cool, so the wax does harden fairly quickly. And then I have some light peachy pink colors that I'm putting in there, and I'm going to let that melt. Now I don't have it over the flame right now, but there is some residual heat in this. The metal from the scoop gets a little bit hot, so it is starting to melt while I'm using my die pick to put the wax in areas of the tip that it wasn't in before. My die pick there has a metal end to it, so once the wax cools down, it's going to be very, very easy to take those bits off. It's also perfect for what I'm doing here, just mixing the colors around. I wanted to make sure that when I poured the skin color, I didn't have a lot of white because I wanted to make sure that it was a different color from the cherub wings. So now I'm pouring the peachy pinky color for the body. I'm trying not to pour too much wax in there. I did actually end up melting too much. I had 2 of the white wax melts, and then I had 2 of the peachy pink ones. Probably could have done with 1 of each because there's really quite a amount of wax on here. It doesn't show up in the end. The only reason this is a little bit of a problem is once I go and melt and pour my background colors, because there's a little bit of a hump there, I do have to hold that handle a little bit while it cools down for a moment, just to give it some time to basically support itself. Again, not a big, huge issue, but if you're not wanting to use too much wax or more wax than you really, really need, you could do less for this. But I wanted to see if this technique would actually work. You definitely want to make sure that you're careful with it. You don't want to accidentally pour the hot wax on your hand while you're doing it, but I'm so much more pleased with the result of this than the first one that was pretty much all white. Here you see me holding it in place while I'm letting that cool a bit. And it only took like maybe 10 or 15 seconds before it could support the weight of itself. I am going to let this one cool down for a little bit longer because there's a lot more wax there. And I'm going to use a paper towel to clean this scoop. I wanted to see how easy it was to clean out. And then because there was a lot of soot on the bottom of the spoon, I was kind of curious whether that was permanent or whether it was stained or not. Most of that came off really, really well. There's just a little bit of a mark at the very bottom of the spoon from the flame, which is to be expected. But I was quite impressed at how quickly and easily it was to clean off that scoop. Really, I could have left the wax inside and remelted it for my next project, but I wanted to, again, see how easy it was to clean off. So now I've got this one here and I'm peeling it off of the surface, and you can see the dimension and the detail of that cherub a lot more. Again, I had a little bit too much wax for the background as well, but I know for next time not to use quite as much here. So from this session, these are the little wax melts that I created. It was a fun process and again, something new for me. I hope you enjoyed watching. Have a fantastic day.